Good morning. It is a cold morning in Kentucky. Overnight, temperatures dipped into the single digits in many parts of our state. We have now made it through 2 winter storms with a third about to hit us. The sun is shining in parts of the state, and we have forecasts for this weekend with temperatures climbing above freezing. That is good news, but we are not there yet. There is still snow, sleet, and freezing rain in the forecast. These storms have been dangerous. They have created hazardous road conditions, and they've led to fatalities and closures as these temperatures are very, very low. As of this morning, there are about 96,000 outages for Kentucky utility customers. The maximum outage during this severe weather was more than 154,000 Kentucky customers. The Kentucky National Guard continues to assist in 10 counties. They're working with local officials to transport citizens to warming centers and shelters. They're providing crews to transport medical staff, and they're working with the Kentucky Division of Forestry to assist with debris removal. Kentucky State Police are also assisting in wellness checks. The sunlight gives our Kentucky transportation crews an opportunity to make headway in clearing our roadways and from both snow and ice. Even with very cold temperatures, our engineers say that sunlight really helps. I'm happy to be able to say we had a relatively quiet night and overnight with no major incidents. Transportation Cabinet Secretary Jim Gray will be going into more detail about road clearing in a minute. But let me stress that even with a bit of a break in weather, it's still important to limit travel. If you must travel, it's important to be careful. Slow down. Give yourself lots of time. It's more important to get there in one piece than to get there quickly. If you're on the roads, please watch for our snow plows and salt trucks and watch out for other emergency vehicles. Please allow extra time to get to your destination and be patient behind the wheel. We have lost at least 3 people so far during these storms, with 3 more possible deaths. As a note, tomorrow our regional vaccination centers are going to stay open regardless of what the weather does tonight. If it is too difficult for you to make it, if it's dangerous, the confirmation email that you've received has a link if you need to reschedule it. Don't be afraid to reschedule it. We are at the point now, though, with the amount of vaccine that we have, believing that roads, at least major roads, to the centers, which open, I believe, at 10 a.m. On Thursday morning, we believe are going to be navigable. Just give yourself enough time. We got to continue to fight this pandemic, even in the midst of this severe weather. Now I'll turn it over to Emergency Management Director Michael Dossett. He will provide more details on weather and response, and then he will send it to Secretary Jim Gray for an update on our roadways.
Thank you, Governor, and good morning. So the State Emergency Operations Center remains at level 3 staffing in support of the restoration operation for power outages. Currently, there are 44 counties and 24 cities that have declared states of emergency throughout this continuing storm event. As the governor indicated, power outages are just a little bit over 96,000 at this point. That's down from a peak of about 154,000. No matter how well prepared for significant events, power outages and transmission issues are a product of ice storms. During this event, the weather created physical damage to the infrastructure that transmits and delivers electricity to households. The electric companies have activated their mutual aid system. As the governor talked about, we're pulling out all the stops. They have, in some counties, established what are called base camps, where all the power companies will be on board working to bring the power back. There are a number of steps they go through to do this process. They first need to assess the lines. They physically need to walk many of these because of the dangerous conditions, the downed trees, and the significant impacts in getting to the power lines. They then need to require the physical resources. And again, mutual aid is a big part of that. They then prioritize the sites depending on how many households are connected to a specific circuit. And as such, households can experience on again and off again service because they routinely have to take down a major circuit to provide repairs to a feeder circuit and then energize that area again. So the current situation is most power companies have completed the first two parts of this process. They have done all the assessments. They have brought on the necessary personnel to accomplish this. The challenge remains in access to the area due to downed trees and remote access. The temperatures and conditions are not helping us. As the governor indicated, we've had a very, very cold evening, and we will throughout the day. So how are we assisting? We have assisted the utilities with clearing roadways and ingress to the outage areas. We have 23 warming centers open across our impact counties, 16 on standby, and there's 6 shelters opening. The Kentucky National Guard is assisting in a number of counties, currently in Boyd, Carter, Crittenden, Elliott, Floyd, Greenup, Jackson, Laurel, Lawrence, Leslie, Magoffin, Menifee, Owsley, and Rockcastle. They're supporting local officials with transport of citizens to warming centers and shelters. They're providing crews to transport medical staff. They're also providing debris removal teams to assist the Kentucky Division of Forestry. And on to the next weather event that we're looking at. So as we discussed several days ago, this is a 3-part event. It started last week. The second storm came earlier in the week, and the third storm is impacting today through Friday. If you're looking at the weather map, and you can see there the dotted area, we're expecting multiple rounds of wintry weather, not unlike the first impact. The positive here is it should be a lower impact. We're still going to experience some snow, sleet, freezing rain, and possibly just plain rain that will actually assist us in some places. So the best potential looks like the area across central and eastern Kentucky. No surprise, the same thing we've seen throughout the other 2 events. We could possibly see some additional minor ice accumulation. However, I hope that decreases as the forecast stabilizes. With that, we'll turn to Secretary Jim Gray.
Director Dossett, thanks so much, and thanks for all the cooperation that you and your folks are giving to the Transportation Department. And Governor, your Transportation Cabinet crews are, of course, still out there. Our frontline snow fighters, as they are admiringly called, they're out there from Pikeville to Paducah, from Harlan to Hickman, and Campbell to Clinton, and all parts in between. More than 2,000, in fact, more than 2,000 employee team members across the Commonwealth and more contractors. Now, as the governor said, we had a fairly quiet night, and we're getting a pause in the winter weather. Crews in some of our highway districts have been able to get to some less traveled routes. They've also been able to do some needed maintenance work, such as changing the plow blades, making repairs to trucks, and restocking salt. Our work crews in eastern Kentucky, especially the Jackson and Pikeville highway districts, are still dealing with falling trees and downed power lines. You see some of the images of the plowing that's going on underway. We've been able to keep, and this is an image, of course, of some of the downed trees that we're seeing. We've been able to keep the major routes in these districts clear or at least passable, but many of the lesser traveled routes are blocked by downed trees and power lines. Here are these images that I've already mentioned from Johnson County, which is part of our Pikeville Highway District. Our Department of Highways maintenance facilities are still without power in actually 5 counties. That's Boyd and Floyd, Lawrence, Magoffin, and Martin. One consequence of these power outages is that gas pumps can't operate. And yesterday we were hauling motor fuel into the areas so that we could refuel our equipment, and that is actually continuing today. Here's another visual, another image of the downed of trees, and you'll see a power line as well. We're also continuing to replenish salt supplies from our reserve stockpile in Jefferson County. Today, we plan to be hauling to districts in Elizabethtown, Covington, Lexington, Flemingsburg, Jackson, Manchester, and Pikeville. Our Division of Equipment is hauling water as requested by Kentucky Emergency Management. I mentioned yesterday that we had employees in some of our northeastern counties. This shows a power pole that's of course down and challenged. We have employees in some of our northeastern counties who couldn't get to their homes, and that's still the case. And we are actually hauling food and water to our Lawrence County maintenance facility to help those employees who've been cut off. Finally, I really want to commend the State Division of Forestry, which has provided chainsaw crews to help us clear down trees in a number of eastern counties. They have been a tremendous help. Once again, thanks to Director Dossett and his leadership there. Let me wrap up by repeating what the governor has said. Please limit your travel. Only when necessary. Drive, and drive very carefully. Allow extra time to get where you're going. Be patient behind the wheel. And with events you can keep up with events on our website, snowky.ky.gov. And follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as well. So now back to you, Governor. Thank you.
Thank you to Director Dossett and Secretary Gray. Final notes provided by the Kentucky State Police. They continue to report hazardous driving conditions throughout the Commonwealth and is continuing to respond to several vehicle collisions in the last 24 to 36 hours. Kentuckians are encouraged by KSP to stay home and off the roads. At this time, there are no interstate closures. However, the situation is fluid and KSP may have to close an interstate in the event of a collision or additional winter weather that is expected to arrive this evening or tomorrow. KSP continues to provide wellness checks to Kentuckians in need. If you need help, please contact one of their posts directly. KSP is requesting Kentuckians only utilize 911 for emergencies. With that, I think we just have a couple questions today. We'll start with Tom Latek from Kentucky Today.
Good morning, Governor. I've got three I'll throw at you here real quick. First of all, the power outages caused any issues with our vaccine supply since they have to be kept very cold. How many guardsmen are actually on active duty right now? And is there any danger of our power grid running into the same issues like they had in Texas with rolling blackouts and things along those lines?
So as far as vaccines, we believe that the plans are in place to where those vaccines are not in danger, backup generators, and other measures taken in advance. Director Dossett, number of guardsmen?
It would be somewhere around 30 right now, more rampant.
So
24-hour operations.
Right. So right now we have about 30 guardsmen and women that are out there working directly. It is going to ramp up. We're going to go to 24-hour operations, especially in Boyd County. On our power side, our issues are different than what they're facing in Texas, though some of the natural gas is impacting some of our cities. Our bigger concern is the infrastructure, especially in eastern Kentucky, and the hit that it's taken and the amount of time it's going to take to get it back online. We've got a number of substations that are down, some of them having to be run with generators and the like. We believe that we're going to make substantial headway through the end of this week and getting people their power back, but in some areas of eastern Kentucky, it may take longer than through the end of the week, and that is I know tough news. This storm has hit us in terms of power to people's homes in a really significant way, harder than expected, while some other areas we were not hit as hard as we thought we might be. Corinne Boyer from WEKU.
Hi, Governor. Yesterday, you had a call with other governors and President Biden about the winter weather. What did you discuss with the president? And then why are vaccine centers staying open regardless of the weather? Is that just because the supplies need to be used?
So vaccine centers are staying open at this point because we're facing these two things that are occurring. We've got severe weather. We also have the pandemic. And the need to get people vaccinated as quickly as we can. We have concerns about levels of staffing, and if we continue to postpone the ability to make up those vaccinations in those centers. Rescheduling is now easier than ever for people who can't make it. So if we use that option, then those that can get there safely, we want to go ahead and get vaccinated. So let me tell everybody, if it's too dangerous for you, if you look outside and the road that you live on is in bad shape, it's okay to reschedule. We'll make sure we get you that vaccine. But the Transportation Cabinet is working very hard to ensure that the major roadways are going to be clear to get us to those places that open about 10 a.m. The second part of that question was, Corinne, the second part of your question? First part. I think I answered the second part.
Oh, sorry. What did you discuss on the call yesterday with President Biden?
Yeah, President Biden had governors from states that have been hit. When I had an opportunity after he said that they would do everything they could to help us, talked about, well, first, we appreciate the increased vaccines. And he said more's coming, especially at the end of March, and then getting into the summer. In terms of how Kentucky has been hit, talked specifically about how Eastern Kentucky has been hit and about how it continues to harm the region in that with the depressed economy because of the lack of coal jobs. We see it being hard for the utility company to repair aged infrastructure and hard for residents to afford their electricity. And it creates this spiral that the infrastructure gets older and older as people pay more and more. And my request moving forward was to work with us on creating jobs in the area, especially energy jobs, to replace those lost in the coal economy. He's setting up a call for us, or at least our teams, later this week to talk about some direct ways that they think that they can create economic activity in the area. It was a good call overall. Different governors have different things they're facing. We got all three. We got the snow, the freezing rain, and the ice. But the federal government is certainly there, willing, ready, and able to help us where they can. A lot of this, though, is us digging out, of us doing what we've done a number of times in these storms. I want to thank everybody. Remember, our next COVID update isn't until tomorrow at 4 p.m. Stay safe. If you can, stay off the roads. Stay warm. If you're out of power, call if you need help. There are warming centers available to you. There are people in your community that want to take care of you. So let's make sure that we get everybody through this. Eventually, we get everybody's power back on, and we continue to fight this pandemic moving forward. Thank you.